Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Rufl, Reform Universal Family Law. We used to be known as Rufl Utah, which was Reform Utah Family Law. We are now known as Reform Universal Family Law. That is more in line with our message of being global and working towards family law change for the entire family law system nationwide and worldwide. So welcome to a special edition. This is September 20th. Lost my day there. September 20th, 2017. Now, a lot of you have probably seen my messages on Rufl Utah and on my personal pages. I reach approximately 15,000 people between my different Facebook outlets, and you've probably seen my messages that I was taking 2017 off from family law, anything to do with it pretty much. You know, you work on this as long as I have for the last 18 years. I've been in the family law system fighting and on the front lines. And eventually it does begin to cause some serious wear and tear on you mentally, and in my case, especially physically. So I've kind of abstained from doing much these last few months, and I kind of plan to do that probably the rest of 2017 so I can regroup, refocus, and physically get a little bit stronger. But there is something that I wanted to address with you. Now, I thought that this was maybe an interesting enough topic for me to do a quick little video on, and I want to explain to you what I have going on. Some of you may have received something to this effect in the mail from the ACLU over the years, and they're basically asking for monetary donations, asking for money. Now, I look at the questions on this, and I find that the ACLU, somebody that I used to support quite a bit back in the day, I thought they had a good mission statement and they were doing a lot of good things. I look at their paperwork the last few years, and honestly, I think they have lost focus, and they are not an organization that is fighting for U.S. citizens and specifically U.S. parents and for parental rights. This is a national and international epidemic, what has happened with parental rights and the blatant thieves and corrupt scumbags that we have in the family law system, from judges to attorneys to guardian ad litems, thieving financially and ultimately kidnapping, extorting, and child trafficking our children in America and the world. This is an epidemic. Do not be fooled. Do not think it's a small problem. Do not minimize it. What is going on with our children and to the families of our countries, internationally as well as the United States, it amounts to child trafficking, extortion, and ultimately some children and parents dying as a result. Okay? Why? My question is this: why has the ACLU not jumped all the fuck over this? Why have they not jumped all over this? I thought the ACLU, as I understand it, American Civil Liberties Union. Couldn't be any more clear than that, ladies and gentlemen. It could not be any more clear what their slogan, what their namesake and their slogans stand for. And yet, what have they done to help American parents, American citizens, American children from being extorted, from being lied to, from having their children stolen, to the breaking up and complete destruction of the American family, all to finance their personal lifestyles and their personal financial means and goals. What has been done by the ACLU? Well, to me, I haven't seen them do jack shit. Now, if you know of some serious stories where they've stepped in and they've protected these parents, we have fathers in states that have decided that they've had enough is enough. They are not going to pay child support for children that they find out they were lied about, that the DNA tests proved the children weren't theirs, and yet they're still on the hook to pay child support, and they refuse to be extorted by these states for the Title IV funding that comes from the federal government. Where the fuck is the ACLU to protect these folks? Where are they to protect these fathers? Where are they to protect fathers like me that didn't even have so much as a parking ticket on my record, and yet I had my child kidnapped from me 3 different times and missed a total of 10.5 years of her life up to this point, and I'm still missing time right now. And yet I am fit enough to have custody of my youngest daughter since the day she was born. Where are they to protect those parents? They're not there. Where are they to protect the mothers, the single moms that have done the best they can or trying to do a good job to raise their kids, and maybe a father steps in and he has serious financial means to back himself, and he not only goes for 50-50 custody, which I believe should be the law of the land across, it just should be universal. Let's just make it that way. But he wants more. He wants a war at all costs, and he wants those children basically to never see their mother. Where's the ACLU to protect parents like that? They haven't done shit. I am calling out the ACLU for the fraud that it is. They do not protect American citizens anymore. They do not protect parents. Let me read you the questions on this form that they sent me, and you tell me if the ACLU is working for us or trying to help American citizens. So it starts out like this. Dear Griffin, together we keep working tirelessly to defend core values of our democracy and the fundamental freedoms that define America. Ooh, doesn't that sound so good? I mean, right there I get shivers at what they do. That's why all across this country we're asking individuals like you to lend their voices, opinions, and support. Well, you better believe me, my opinions are written on this, and you'll be getting them, ACLU, along with a beautiful video here. We'd like to ask you to represent Utah in this critical survey. Your answers will be held in strict confidence and will be tabulated with those of other respondents to form aggregate opinions. What you're looking for is a standard liberal propaganda opinion, and I will explain this further as we get going. When you have completed the survey, please return in the postage paid envelope. God, aren't they amazing for sending me a postage paid envelope when they're asking me for money? Now, let's get into this. Part 1, defending freedom in Utah. Let's start close to home by asking you a few questions about the condition of civil liberties in your home state. Sounds good enough? How concerned are you that the weeks and months ahead we will see serious setback for civil liberties in Utah? Well, you know what? That's a fucking joke. We have seen them for years now. We have seen them for years. Where have you guys been, ACLU? Where have you been to protect the parents that have had their children kidnapped and extorted by our fucking corrupt government? By our fucking corrupt family law? Where have you been? Where have you been? Generally speaking, do you think the strength and vibrancy of civil liberty protections in Utah are better than most of the country, about the same as the rest of the country, or in worse shape than in most of the country? Well, that's hard to say. I know there's other states out there that are also having the same problems that Utah is having. But I'm going to say this. Family courts steal children, point blank. They steal our children. They steal our rights. They step all over our Bill of Rights and constitutional protections that we have as citizens to decide how we will raise our children fundamentally. Now, if we're not injuring those children, we are not causing damage to those children, the government has no fucking right or business stepping in and getting in the middle of how we raise our children. Rights in Utah are a complete joke. All somebody has to do, and I'm sure that this is the same in many other states, all somebody has to do is make an accusation. Now, that accusation could come from any source, it could come from any perspective, and it doesn't matter who or what you are, you will be under investigation. You will have your rights to protections, to cross-examination, to all the things that you would normally have in a court proceeding will be stripped away from you, and they will follow their own sets of guidelines and procedures that basically do not afford you the rights and protections as a parent. Now, let's move on to the next one. Thinking in more personal terms, how concerned are you that the efforts by President Trump and others undermine our civil liberties and are directly impacting you and your family? Folks, does this sound like an organization that is worried about fair and balanced protections of American civil liberties? I'm going to ask you that again in a minute, because we're going to get to the question that shows you just how slanted these crooks are. And this was my answer to that question, by the way. I am far more concerned at the blatant disregard for parental rights by the corrupt Utah courts and judges. All right. Part 2, your issue priorities. Please indicate how concerned you are with each of the following threats to our fundamental freedoms. By God, it sounds like we are under terrorist attack. Ooh! The ACLU is going to save all of us, except that they're not. Baseless claims about voter fraud sparking a new wave of voter suppression laws that make it harder for vulnerable voters, aka illegal voters, people that may be dead or people that don't even exist, to participate in the vitally important 2018 elections. Okay? Here is my answer. I'm really not that concerned about that because voter fraud has been exposed in multiple counties around this country, particularly liberal counties, where the votes of illegals count more than ever so that they can continue to try to get their cronies in office, and that way they can have their Democrat cronies control what we're doing. Now you're starting to see that the ACLU is slanted towards the Democrat Party, and yet I thought they were the American Civil Liberties Union. Ooh. Why do you choose to help hide the voter fraud, ACLU? That's my question. Here's the next question. The Trump administration launching a massive deportation force and ordering immigration raids based on racial and ethnic profiling that could target schools, hospitals, churches, and send thousands of immigrants into overcrowded and squalid detention centers. They're trying to make it sound like we're going to have the camps of the world wars like we did before, and everybody's going to be put in concentration camps. I mean, that is the most ridiculous nonsense I've ever seen in my life. There has been no talk of that. There's been no suggestion of that. And you need to stop the liberal nonsense. It's a bunch of propaganda, and no force exists under Trump to this effect, okay? Stop making this a Republican-Democrat issue. It is not a Republican-Democrat issue. It is a corrupt government issue. It comes from both sides. It comes from all parties, not just Democrats and Republicans. Even the independents are guilty of this as well, okay? So stop making this a one-party issue. Stop slanting and destroying the facts. Tell the truth and get back to what your mission statement is supposed to be. Here's the next one. The anti-choice majority in Congress moving to defund abortion providers across the country, depriving millions of women of essential health care services. I'm sorry, but an abortion is not an essential health care service. You're choosing to kill an unborn child. That's my personal opinion about it. And unless you were raped, which is clearly the minority of the women that are having abortions, then you should pay for your own killing of the child, in my opinion. I don't care what the haters think of that. That's my personal opinion. Next question. Donald Trump abusing power and undermining the rule of law in ways that have a lasting negative impact on our democracy. Well, I tell you what, every president that we've had thus far in the in the last 40 years or so that I've been alive has done that to some effect. Is Trump going to do it? Time will tell. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I would expect it. He probably will, just like all the rest of the presidents. But what I would like to say is more important, because presidents only last 8 years. You have corrupt lifetime politicians that get into office. My own state has Orrin Hatch. This guy is a dinosaur. He's been in office for years and years and years. He made a promise to not run anymore years and years ago, and he still continues to run. The guy is on the verge of dementia from the videos I see of him, and it is time to end these lifers in our government. These guys that get in, they've got free health care for life, they've got all kinds of benefits, a huge salary. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. They get stuck in their ways and their policies, and there is no fresh thinking that comes into office. And so my question is, ACLU, why are you going after Trump again specifically? You are supposed to be for the American people. Regardless if we're Republican or Democrat, you go after what is right. Right now, everything I see in this, and every time I get one of these stupid questionnaires asking for a bunch of money from me, it is slanted for the Democrat position. Enough is enough, ACLU. Get back to the fundamentals of what you're supposed to be doing and protect the American people. Emboldened extremists across the country escalating efforts to turn back the clock on reproductive freedom and lesbian, gays, bi, and trans rights. Well, I think that those groups are doing a pretty damn good job protecting their own rights and extending their rights. Why you need to jump on this popularity bandwagon and continue to help propagate and push even further these agendas of these groups when they're doing just fine on their own, when you've got millions and millions and millions and millions of parents that are being wronged, that are being, they're having their kids taken away, everything I've already said before. These groups of people far outweigh these minorities that you're talking about. You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands into the millions versus a smaller group, and yet you're on the popularity bandwagon when they're already doing quite well protecting and extending their rights themselves. If you're going to ask me for my money, what's important to me is that these U.S. citizens that are parents have the damn rights to raise their kids the way they see fit and not have their kids taken away by this goddamn corrupt government. Start focusing. All right, last question on this page. Religious discrimination that includes the Muslim ban imposing a religious test on refugees and others seeking to enter our country. Again, you're worried about people and hypothetical things that don't even exist yet, and yet we have an epidemic that is happening right now to U.S. citizens, and you're not addressing it. Wake the fuck up, ACLU. Wake up. All right, next question. Are there any observations, concerns specifically that you would like to add about how our freedoms are at risk, either nationwide or in your community? This is what I put. Yes, where the hell is the ACLU to protect American parents? You have not backed up any of us on any of our cases. Enough said. Next section, strategies for defending freedom. The following is a list of ACLU strategies for responding to the immediate threats our fundamental freedoms are facing. Please indicate how important you find each of them. So, number 1, using lawsuits and other forms of legal action to challenge the constitutionality of the government's actions and to insist that the courts demand adherence to the Constitution and rule of law. How important could this be? Well, I've got 4 places from extremely important down to not important at all, and I can tell you I checked very important. So take action to protect American parents and get these damn courts that are corrupt in check. Okay? Using our fast-growing base of activists and supporters to mobilize people and speak out on issues at both national and local level. Again, time for you to act and protect U.S. parents from child kidnapping and trafficking by our courts. Using the ACLU's on-the-ground presence in all 50 states to block efforts in the state legislators to pass extreme measures undermining reproductive rights, advancing racial profiling, and discriminating against the LGBT people. All right, fine. You want to continue to do that? That's great. You continue on the popularity bandwagon. But let's see some action on behalf of the discriminated and abused parents and the mistreatment and theft, thievery, and child trafficking by the corrupt and, in my opinion, illegal family courts. Using media outreach and public education to amplify and create a public outcry over attempts to undermine our fundamental freedoms. Again, why have you never been an advocate for U.S. parents against these family courts? I'm going to keep asking the same thing over and over because it needs to be asked. You're asking the American people to donate millions of dollars. Well, this is an important issue. This is an epidemic, and this is something going on right now in our country that has been going on for years and years and years, and you have not even dipped your toe in the water to do something about this, let alone jumped in to take a swim. Where are you? I want to ask the ACLU, where are you to protect and help these parents? Finally, to help the ACLU confront those seeking to undermine the Constitution and sweep away our fundamental freedoms, will you send a contribution today? Well, here's the answer to that. No, I will not send a monetary donation, and I'm emphatic about that. I will not send you money. I will, however, send you this completely filled out with my answers, and you can read it. Hopefully, you'll decide that it's time to do something about it between this and this video, and I'm hoping to God I can make this video go viral, because it is time that somebody addresses you. It is time that you get back to the fundamentals of what you were created for, to protect Americans, regardless of our political views. It is about fundamental liberty. It is about fundamental law correctness, about following the law, the procedures, treating each one of us with our constitutionally given rights, our Bill of Rights, and the protections that we are supposed to be afforded. We are asking and demanding that you stand up and do something about this epidemic of child kidnapping, child trafficking, stealing of children, bankrupting of parents, killing of kids, and killing of parents. It is time. Enough is enough. You will receive no funds from me ever if you do not start to address this. And I'm hoping all the people that watch this video make the same decision. If you're not going to address parental rights and start to deal with this epidemic in our country, you will never receive money from me. And I'm hoping that that will continue with thousands, if not millions, of other people. All right, that is about going to do it for this video. Please like the video. Please share it. I absolutely emphatically ask that everybody in this community shares this video. Let's make this thing go viral. Let's get after the ACLU, because they are an organization that, if we got them on our side, could make inroads. I am starting to believe that they may be part of the good old boys network in the court system, and that is why they've never jumped in this fight with us. Either way, it is time to turn the tables on them. It is time to expose them. It is time to make them step up to the fucking plate and decide, are you going to protect American citizens, or are you going to continue to go after immigrants and people that aren't even here, things that don't even yet exist? Okay? Until next time, I may do another video this year. I may not. I'm taking a break from this, but this is something that I had to share. You can see everything I'm telling you is absolutely legit. Everything that I've shared with you is nothing that I've made up. You can freeze that and read it. I have no problem showing what I've included on there. Until next time, as I always say, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and remember, family is the most important thing in life, whether our government knows it or whether the ACLU knows it. We know it as parents, we know it as guardians, and we know it as the patriots fighting to bring our children home. I still have not seen my oldest daughter now for 5 years it's been. So I'm right there with the rest of you on the front lines. Even if I physically can't be out there all the time, in spirit I'm with you. But they will not break my spirit. Do not let them break yours. Continue the fight. I feel like I'm getting more and more vibrant every day. And I will return to this. We will have a film out on these creeps eventually. And let's continue the fight. We're not stopping until we have our parental rights and the government in check on parental rights. Take care. Bye-bye.